On May 14, 2008, 19-year-old college student Brandon Swanson was driving home late at night along a quiet rural road in Minnesota. Suddenly, his car slid into a ditch. Unharmed, Brandon called his parents at 1:54 a.m., asking them to pick him up. He told them he was near the small town of Lind and could see the lights of the town in the distance. He stayed on the phone with his father for 47 minutes as he walked through the dark gravel roads and open fields toward those lights. Then, at 2:41 a.m., while in the middle of a sentence, Brandon suddenly gasped and screamed. "Oh shit!" The line went dead. That was the last sound anyone ever heard from Brandon Swanson. Search parties found his car, but Brandon vanished without a trace into the pitch-black Minnesota night. Welcome back to The Grim Files. Today, we investigate the haunting disappearance of Brandon Swanson. It was the end of the spring semester at Minnesota West Community and Technical College. Brandon was celebrating with friends in the nearby town of Canby. Around midnight, he decided to drive back home to Marshall. While navigating the dark county roads, he lost control and drove his Chevrolet Lumina into a grassy ditch. The car was stuck, but Brandon was completely uninjured. Rather than calling emergency services, he phoned his parents, Brian and Annette Swanson. He asked them to come get him, describing his surroundings as a quiet gravel road just outside Lind. His parents jumped into their pickup truck and drove out into the night, keeping Brandon on the phone to guide them. But when they arrived at the location Brandon described, flashing their high beams and honking the horn, there was no sign of Brandon, and Brandon couldn't see them either. Frustrated that they couldn't find each other, Brandon told his father that he saw distant lights over a ridge. He believed those lights belonged to the town of Lind. He told his dad he was going to walk across the open farm fields, cut through a few fences, and meet them at a local bar in town. For nearly 40 minutes, father and son talked as Brandon walked. Brandon described crossing fences, hearing running water nearby, and walking along a gravel path. He seemed calm, coherent, and completely confident in his direction. His father listened to the steady crunch of gravel beneath Brandon's boots. Everything seemed normal until the clock hit 2:41 a.m. Brandon's voice abruptly cut off, followed by his sudden, terrified exclamation, "Oh shit!" Then silence. Brandon's father repeatedly called back, but Brandon never answered again. Desperate, his parents called the local police. At first, authorities refused to search, pointing out that Brandon was a 19-year-old adult who had a right to be missing. But by sunrise, police finally agreed to ping Brandon's cell phone signal. The result stunned everyone. The cell tower ping revealed Brandon was nowhere near Lind. He was actually over 25 miles away, near the town of Taunton. Brandon had been completely disoriented in the dark. The lights he was walking toward were not the town of Lind, but a massive grain elevator in Taunton. Soon, searchers located Brandon's abandoned car, exactly where the signal indicated, stuck in a ditch along the county line. With the car found, police deployed Bloodhounds and search teams to trace Brandon's footstep path. The tracking dogs picked up Brandon's scent from the vehicle and followed it for nearly 3 miles, through farm fields and past abandoned farmhouses. The scent led straight to the banks of the Yellow Medicine River, a fast-flowing, murky body of water. According to dog handlers, the scent indicated Brandon stepped into the cold water, likely slipping on the muddy bank. This explained his final words, "Oh shit," as he lost his footing and fell in. Searchers brought in boats, divers, and side-scan sonar to search the river, but despite weeks of dragging the water, no body, no clothing, and no personal belongings were ever found in the river. Here's where the case takes a terrifying turn. The scent dogs crossed the river, picked up Brandon's scent on the opposite bank, and continued tracking him along a gravel road heading north. The scent eventually stopped abruptly at a rural intersection, as if Brandon had stepped into another vehicle or simply vanished into thin air. If Brandon survived falling into the river, why didn't he call his parents back? His cell phone remained turned on and active for several hours after the call dropped. If he walked out of the river, where did he go in those vast, open fields? Did a passing stranger pick him up in the dark? Or did he crawl into an abandoned cistern or farm silo, succumbing to hypothermia in the freezing night? 18 years have passed since Brandon Swanson vanished into the Minnesota darkness. His family created Brandon's Law, changing Minnesota legislation to ensure police immediately search for missing adults under suspicious circumstances. But despite massive search efforts covering thousands of acres of farmland, no bone, no shoe, and no phone has ever been found. His mother still keeps the porch light on at their house, waiting for a son who never returned home. Was Brandon taken by a cold-blooded predator lurking on a dark road, or did the earth itself open up and swallow him whole? The endless fields of Minnesota remain silent. What do you think happened to Brandon Swanson? Drop your theories in the comments below. Subscribe to The Grim Files for more deep dives into history's dark cases.